Thank you for joining us. I'm Paul Wilson, and this is Diesel Performance Podcast. Guys, today Chris Emke is out of the office, but no problem. We have awesome Diesel Performance Podcast content coming at you. I couldn't think of anybody better to bring on and talk about getting ready for UCC than our favorite UCC competitor, Tony Burkhard. Tony, how the hell are you?
Oh, just trying to kick ass and take names and survive the weekend. How about that?
Well, you guys are doing it. I know that. I know the ODSS opener, you guys were out there putting up some good effort. There's a lot of buzz around that first event of the year. And then it's sled pulling season, so I'd assume the crew at Dirty Hooker Diesel is getting out into the dirt and having some fun.
Yeah, this is. I'm heading to the Pullers Championship right now, and this will be our first pull of the year. Of course, because we just got the truck running last night, right? So, I mean, who would expect anything less?
So this is Cheap Hooker you're going to take out pulling, right?
Yes. Yep.
Can you give our listeners a little refresher? What is this truck? What's the build setup in it?
It's a 3.6 turbo size truck. I call it Pro Stock. Pro Stock pulling truck. 7,800 pound with cut tires, and hope you can keep it together, class. We have a deck plated large bore block in it. A Wagler iron heads and a Wagler intake on it, and a bunch of extra G goodies for fuel.
What would you estimate the horsepower is at for this build?
So we're around that 1900. I mean, I haven't had it on a dyno since probably the last time it caught on fire on the dyno. So, and this is a different fire than last minute. This was an engine dyno that fuel line broke, and of course it went up in flames in the dyno, and I haven't been on an engine dyno with that truck since then.
Man, the hookers catching on fire in you is just something we're starting to get used to here. I don't like that.
Oh, the hookers are hot. That's all. They are hot. I mean, they're smoking hot.
Now, Tony, you've had an interesting relationship with UCC throughout the years. I know at one point you were at the DPI Expo as a vendor, and then started to come in as a competitor. And last year, Tyler ran the truck, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Tyler, my son Tyler, he's been racing it ever since I put it in the wall. When I crashed it last year, that I just turned it over to him. Hoping he's got quicker reflexes, right? I probably could have saved it, not put it in the wall if I would have had that smash it past instinct to pull the chute. But it was the smashing past instinct to like hit my ass and watch shit happen. Hope she didn't roll. So
just pucker and hold on. I've been there. I get it.
Yeah. Yep.
Now Tyler, the young gun, he went out. I want to say he set a record, broke a record last year at UCC, or was that at Rudy's right before UCC?
At UCC, and when we broke the record for UCC, and we took we fastest four-wheel drive Duramax. Derek Rose here at the ODSS event, this last event, and he turned it upside down. So,
Listeners, I know we're having some phone in and out here, so bear with us here. I'll just try to give a quick recap to what Tony told us. That's number one. Tyler did set a record last year at UCC for four-wheel drive, also for four-wheel drive Duramax. And then Derek Rose, who we just had on a few weeks ago, Derek Rose came out. He kind of stepped past that, clearly took a foot-length step past that record for four-wheel drive diesel in the eighth. Put up some amazing numbers that you guys got to hear about. Now we're getting ready to look at UCC for this year. What are your plans for this year to go to UCC and come home with that first place trophy?
I think we're going to hit UCC like we do every year and go there and try to enjoy ourselves, try to do the best we can. And, I would just let the score sort it out, right? Yeah, we're not going there thinking we're going to win it. We just want to go there and keep everything together, put on a good show, and the show needs to be keeping everything in one piece. I know some people will go there to enjoy watching shit blow apart, but that's not so fun for us.
Yeah, watching something blow up from the grandstands is a little bit different than being in the truck when there's a ball of fire on the hood.
Yep. But I mean, it's going to be tough to, Derek coming back out and swinging out there in the drag strip and the dyno, and he's a tough competitor. Justin is going to be out with a brand new truck, and again, he's got experience on making a big number on the dyno, and we're hoping that this new chassis, this new truck for the drag strip is going to be a mean machine, right? So even if I left there in third place, I would be thrilled. So, I mean, the other competitors are no jokes. So.
It is stiff competition this year. Not only do we have the experience of Derek Rose and Justin Ziegler, as you had mentioned, there's also newcomers like Chris Patterson making a lot of waves with that green dually and his 3,000 horsepower. Does that rising level of competition change your strategy at all for the dyno? I mean, is it one pass, it's good? Like, is there a number in your head that, like, hey, if we hit this in our first run on the dyno, we're going to back it off. We're not going to use, our full 30 minutes or whatever it is?
No, we had originally had a totally different strategy for the dyno, but as this world is turning recently and getting parts and doing things like that is purely a miracle. And so, unfortunately, our dyno plans have changed, and we're probably going back with just running the truck with like we did last year. Only I'm going to run it not exactly the way I ran it last year, but we're going to have. I know we'll have a better number because last year I never hit the nitrous until it was at 4,000 RPMs on the dyno. So, the dyno run was pretty much over. But that was zero nitrous last year,
right?
For most of the dyno run. So, and I'm not going to go thinking that we're going to beat up on the Evans boys with what we have this year. I mean, that'd be ludicrous to say that. So,
but to be in the top three, I mean, it's almost expected that you're going to be over 2,000 horsepower to the rear wheels. Am I right? Like realistically, because you have to do good. Now you have, especially like this year, I think probably more so than ever, is we have a lot of really fast, very well experienced drag racers, which you guys fall into that category, right? Like we've seen Tyler put the skills, we've seen the truck be put to the test. Like we know you guys can go down the track fucking fast. But there's other guys who can too, like for sure. Somebody else is going to with you. And then the sled pull, I feel like the sled pull's a who knows what's going to happen, right? It's because it's sled pulling, where it's usually probably not even like the most prepared truck or the best built truck. It's usually just whose shit didn't break. As I feel like what's really sorted out the sled pull in the past, that dyno seems to be that big variable about how far do you push it, like it depends on what place you are. It depends, hey, do you take first run on the dyno so that way you got more time for ODSS racing? I know that was one of the questions last year.
Well, it's going to depend on how we feel with the run, right? So last year at big power level, that's the first time that I've ever dynoed that truck. I mean, last year was first for us to be going out drag racing with it. Sure, we screwed around a little bit at UCC a couple years prior, but last year was the first year we really tried to learn, figure some things out, and I doubt we're not going to have over 3,000 horsepower in the dyno. Not with our setup. I know that's not going to happen, but again, depending on how everyone else's luck goes too, right? So if they can't finish, then obviously that helps us if we can. So.
Sure. Do you have a preference? I mean, after seeing last year, because if I remember rightly, Tyler or you guys went up as like one of the first ones to go on the dyno last year, and then that gave you more time for the ODSS racing. Would you follow that same strategy this year, or would you prefer to be last on the dyno so okay, this is where everybody else fell. If I want to place, this is what I have to do it?
No, I don't really. If we put up a decent number, my strategy is not. I don't care what anyone else does.
That's such a Tony Burkhard response. I don't care what anyone else does. I'm going to go put my number up, and then I'm going to go on to the next event.
So I'd be happy to be the first one on the dyno. And then we can just about our day finish it up. ODSS. I mean.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, I get it. I mean, ODSS is a big deal now. It's kind of like the official diesel drag racing series, right? So you got to be thinking about the whole season for that, because you got to go to so many different events to really be competing for the end of it, for the points, for the championship and everything.
Yep.
Do you have any competitors that are kind of like out there where I know, hey, you guys want to do what you want to do, but is there anybody where you're like, man, we really are excited to see this guy also compete at the event this year?
Well, I know. Yeah, sure, we're excited. Derek Run. I mean, he's
so competitor. So you're thinking Derek Rose will be fun to see at the show? I think we all agree on that one. D Rose is always a good time. Truck always does something crazy. He's definitely somebody who, as modest as he's trying to be these days, I think he still goes out there and swings for the fences, which we love. That's why we go to the show.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm excited, man. I think this is going to be a good year. Is there anything you're really confident about? What do you think is going to be your guys' strongest showing? Do you think the truck is going to do the best on the track, on the dyno, or in the dirt?
Wow. So, good question. I think we're going to perform quite well on the dirt. Now, this year there's going to be some real truck pullers, trucks on the dirt track. So that throws it, some pretty good drivers and pretty competitive trucks on the track. So, we can hope that we hold our own on the dirt track. Drag racing, really my what do I want to say? But I feel that we're probably going to be second in drag racing, right? We're going to be I feel we're going to be right behind Derek in drag racing. So
That's a tall order. That's not a small spot to be in. Like number one,
No.
Derek, like obviously currently holds that 4-wheel drive record, but also like you got a lot of fast trucks out there this year. So I love the confidence. I love that you guys have been putting the time into this. Do I remember just a handful of years ago you had just started getting into the diesel drags?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And what about Tyler? How many years has he been actually drag racing diesel trucks?
Well, only last year was the first year with anything over 1,000 horsepower. Actually, or anything over 800. He loves doing dirt drags, and he'd go to the drag strip a little bit. But throwing him in that truck, it's a little crazy. When I wrecked it early last spring, and then I got in the truck one time after that just to make sure everything felt good before I put my son in the truck, right?
Right.
I wanted to make sure that thing felt safe and everything was good, and then strapped him in, and I strap him in every time since then. So I felt, when I wrecked it last year, I felt really safe, honestly. I was only going to be saddened by the damage to the truck. There wasn't a moment that I felt that I could be injured, right?
Yeah.
I trusted my equipment, and I was just saddened by damage in the truck. And if the thing would have rolled, then we would have been done for the season.
Right.
But fortunately, it didn't. And we got her together, and I took one ride down the strip, and I said, "Yep, she's good. Here you go, son."
Man, I am excited. I think this year the level of competition we've seen at UCC, it always goes up, right? Every year this event has been going on as it's tougher and tougher to win. There's more and more people who, are just raising the bar all the way throughout the year, spring, summer, and fall. We see those limits getting pushed. And hey, Tyler performed phenomenally last year. He definitely didn't let you down when it came to UCC performance. So we're excited to see you guys back out there this year. I know it's going to be a big show. I think there's a huge attendance that we're all expecting to see out there. Any words of advice you want to give to any of the new guys, the first-time UCC competitors?
Boy, just keep your eyes and ears open and learn what you can, and just get with your competitors, and everyone's going to have pointers and help. That was proof when after our fire. Just all the competitors all come to our rescue, right? So everyone's willing to help. So makes it a good time.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, thank you so much for joining us today. Listeners, we are getting ramped up. I believe we are just 22 days, maybe 21 days from when you're hearing this away from UCC. Come check us out. We're going to be over at the Duramax Tuner Calibrated Power booth. We'll be right next door to the Dirty Hooker Diesel booth. I actually just looked up the map this morning, Tony, so we'll be next to each other all weekend. Come check us out. We're excited to see you guys. We're excited to be out at UCC having a great time with the biggest, baddest diesel trucks in the world.
Hey guys, it's Jeremy from the Super Tag segment of the podcast this week. I'm going to bring you an L5P that I'm doing injectors on. So what I'm going to tell you is a little bit difference between this and like an LBZ and LML. The differences that I like about doing this one, since it being my first one, is that they used metal return lines on top of the injectors. No more of the plastic stuff that they did on the LMLs that always break and have problems with, that leak. So I do like that. Also on this one, accessibility. So they moved the EGR on it, so accessibility to the injectors are a lot easier compared to like an LML where you have that big EGR sitting off the side, where this one here, you're just able to get into it, get it done. So I do like this one a lot better than an LML. Things that I don't like is that they put these covers on it. Well, and those covers hold all the dirt. So this truck being an 18 with 300,000 miles on it, 6 of the 8 injectors were stuck. So again, being my first one, it was a pain in the ass. So though that's a I don't like to do. But other than that, an L5P injector job is pretty good. On this truck here, around 280,000 miles, we had one injector go bad, and it was actually a circuit fault of the injector. We went ahead and we replaced one injector on it, and that was number 5 at 280,000. That's what the customer decided to do at that time. Now, the truck came back and it had a number 5 injector fault on the, number 4 on the other side, other bank. So the customer decided to do the rest of the 7 injectors. The injectors didn't go bad per se because of time or because of wear, just because of time. I mean, 300,000 miles. This is a transport truck. It's always idling. So you see the idle time on it, it's just skyrocketed on the dashboard. So I believe once we get more of these trucks in and we actually start seeing more faults, I'll be able to tell you more about how long the injectors are going to last and what to expect out of them. So, all right, guys, well, that's it for today.
Thanks for joining us today, guys. This has been Paul Wilson
and Chris Emke.
Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.
There's smoking hot.